Back here at home now, despite the glitches and the frozen pages and the error messages, the White House saying that it's encouraged by the initial opening to Obamacare's official launch. Jerry Willis is host of the Willis Report on the Fox Business Network, and Stephen Moore is senior economic writer for the Wall Street Journal. Good morning to both of you. We have tasked you both with trying to figure out what the facts are here. Jerry, we talked to you last week. What are you finding out based on a state-by-state basis as to whether or not people can log on, whether they can sign up, and whether they are signing up?
Well, Bill, I got to tell you, this is tough. You know, the numbers weren't as high as were originally reported last week in California. Original reports of 5 million people going online. It's more like 514,000, 77,000 filing an application. They're not saying how many people have actually gotten coverage. And the devil in those details, people having a hard time signing up, much less nailing down coverage. And it seems to me those numbers probably in the low thousands across the country. Kentucky, still one of the #1 places where they're able to actually sign up people for coverage.
Okay, let me come back to Kentucky here, but what is this? What does your logic tell you about why it's difficult in the first week? It's a big decision, first of all.
Right.
In a second, Stephen Moore is going to tell us how it's a lot more expensive than you think it is.
Well,
what do you believe?
I've got to tell you, I think it's so hard to navigate this website, absolutely. And a lot of the sign-ons, just people looking around, trying to see what was available, trying to make a decision. And the websites were not ready for prime time, no doubt about it. They were shut down over the weekend. The glitches were overwhelming. We're hearing now that the software not ready to go. The architecture of healthcare.gov just couldn't stand the pressure of people getting on, signing on, trying to find out what was out there. So they just weren't ready for this. I got to tell you, Bill.
They went offline during the peak hours over the weekend and try and sort some of this out. Stephen Moore, does this appear like it's just a software problem? Or more.
It's funny how central planning never seems to work out like politicians think it will. And you know, to just summarize what Jerry was saying, the biggest problem is you had about a 1 in 100 chance if you went to the website even to get through to the system so you could check prices. But Bill, my main concern is once they do settle up these glitches and fix these things, and that'll happen in the course of the next few months.
Yeah, what happens then?
The biggest problem is sticker shock, Bill. People thought that they would go to these exchanges and they would find lower prices than what they're paying now. And people I've talked to and many studies are indicating, no, the prices aren't lower than what people have now. They're higher. And that the big concern when you talk to Americans is, wait a minute, I kind of like what I got right now. Is my employer going to force me into this system where I pay higher prices and get worse care?
Why the sticker shock? What were we not expecting, or what was the government planning, or? I mean, why is it coming in that way, I guess?
Two things. There's less competition. This was sort of based on all these health insurance companies competing, but we're finding health insurance companies are dropping out because they just don't want to be part of the system. That's number one. Number two, look, if you're somebody like my son, 23 years old, healthy, doesn't need, a lot of basic health care except, the basic stuff.
He's staying on your plan.
I hope not much longer.
Oh,
but,
he's gonna.
In addition to that, Bill, the problem is he could go to the private market and find a much cheaper plan than because of all the mandated benefits under the Obamacare system. So I think the bottom line here is you're going to get a lot. When Jerry's talking about people signing up, Jerry, I think those are sick people who have pre-existing conditions.
And that's
the problem is healthy people aren't, right?
Oh, that's an interesting point, Jerry.
The problem is that the young people, and these are the people that the government wants to sign up. They're going to float the boat for Obamacare. They're essential to making this program successful. They're the ones who are shrugging their shoulders and saying, boy, this was more than I expected to pay.
Some people thought it was going to be free. I mean, honestly.
Yes.
Well,
we have heard that from people that they expected free insurance. Now, listen, the
it
president
will be
addressed
for
a lot
people.
of this. For some people, you're right about that, Steve.
Yeah.
He said, listen, we're overwhelmed by the volume, and he indicated that's a good sign that people are interested, Jerry. And he predicts within 6 months they will exceed what anyone expected.
Well, they may do that, but not in a way you expect. I mean, look, we don't know whether young people are going to sign on. The early estimates are that they're not thrilled with what they're seeing, but we don't know if it's going to work. Look, they can cure these glitches, but at the end of the day, do you find a product that you actually want to buy? One of the things that people are going to be watching, a lot of the big name healthcare insurance providers that you're used to seeing in the marketplace aren't so present this time around. Maybe you're going to have to sign up with a name you've never heard of before. There's still lots of questions out there and lots of questions about whether Americans will really sign up. Bill?
Okay, now here is John Boehner on the issue of subsidies on Congress and a bit more. Stephen, react to this. Roll it.
Providing fairness to the American people under Obamacare is all we're asking for. My goodness, they give big businesses a waiver. They give all these unions a waiver. And yet they're forcing the American people to buy a product that they do not want and cannot afford.
I imagine when he talks over the next 7 days, 10 days, with this debt ceiling battle, you're going to hear a lot more from what we just heard right there, Stephen.
Yeah, Republicans aren't going to repeal Obamacare, not as long as Barack Obama is president, and they're not even going to get it defunded.
So what do they get?
Right. So the strongest argument is the one that John Boehner made in that clip, that it's not fair to require individual workers to have to sign up for the system when employers don't have to themselves. And that basic issue of fairness, I think, is one of the strongest arguments. Because remember, if you don't sign up, folks, for this program and you don't have health insurance, the first year you're looking at maybe a couple $100 of fines, but those go up every year. Pretty soon, $600 a year. And remember, Bill, the court called this a tax.
Oh, yeah. I remember that very well, actually. See you later, Stephen. Jerry Willis will check you out later tonight, all right?
Thank
Weekday,
you.
6 o'clock Eastern, only on the Fox Business Network. That is the Willis Report. You can see Jerry a bit later this evening.
Great point.
On FBN.
People are getting fined, and it was supposed to be a tax, so put that into the mix here as well. So we asked you a question a little while ago. How will the government shutdown play out? And here are some of your tweets that you sent us today. Dave Barr tweets, easiest way to delay individual penalty, leaving exchanges open, cut all spending 5% across the board. Some exceptions, pass the budget, and the increase.
He did that in 140 characters or less,
Nicely
Martha.
done, Dave.
Doug Wayne says by putting wings on a pig. Yeah, good luck. Take a picture when that happens.
Hashtag when pigs can fly. Snowball's chance in hell. All right, how about this one? At Top Drive 496 says, I want to know what you and Martha, I'm not speaking to myself, I assume he means me, you, Bill, and me. What do we talk about when the music starts and we go to break, Bill? Can you tell me? You're going to tell all the wonderful folks at home what we talked about during the last commercial break?
Oh, my gosh. We should broadcast that someday, huh?
We do when we go on with Killmade, which is sort of a running commentary. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Send your tweets coming. We'll check them out and get to some a bit later,
They
too.
did not get a satisfying answer, that person.
Correct on that.
More coming.
They weren't going to. All right, from shutting down the Amber Alert to closing America's most cherished monuments, serious allegations that the White House is making the shutdown more difficult for folks than it needs to be. The former New York Governor George Pataki, he was in control during the last one, a veteran of the latest shutdown, on what he is seeing.